Well, really appreciate you joining us all today and with what we've got packed for today's session. My name is Fraser. I'm one of the customer success managers in the education team here at Vevox, and I'm also joined by my colleague Lewis, who performs in a similar role to myself on the corporate and enterprise side. Next to me, we also have our colleague Kyle, who is off camera, but just doing a bit of behind the scenes stuff and keeping an eye on things for us today. But if you haven't joined one of these before, these are part of a quarterly series that we run every year, and it's really designed to be a bit of a look into the past for the Vevox platform. So we have a look at all of the previous functionality items and bits of features that we brought through the platform through those various releases. But it's also intended to be a bit of a look into the future as well. So we also cover the things that are on the horizon for our roadmap and the kind of things that we're working on in our development behind the scenes. Now, obviously, we are into December, so we are trying to get a little bit into the festive season. So as you can see, Lewis and I have dressed for the occasion today, and there is a bit of a Christmas and festive theme throughout today's session as well. So we do have a little bit of interaction throughout the session, and we'll talk a little bit more on that as we go. But for now, I'm going to hand over to Lewis, who's just going to very briefly talk us through what we'll be covering on today's session.
Cheers, Fraser. Here's a quick snapshot of what we're going to be looking at in today's session. First of all, we're going to start off with the highlights of the June release, have a quick recap as to what we've had previously in the platform. Then we're going to look at what is new. So our October/November release is our most recent one. Been in the platform for about a month now, so you may have seen a few bits and pieces already, but we're going to go into full detail of all of the updates that we've most recently had to the platform and give you some nice examples as to how they can be utilized within the corporate world and in the education world. We're then going to have a festive quiz, so make sure you do participate. Get your phones ready because we have a festive quiz later on down the line with 5 questions in, where we'll be showing you a few of our key features. And also we have a prize up for grabs for first place. So if you are keen, make sure you log in to Vevox in a minute. We'll tell you how to and participate in the quiz. We'll then look at what is next. So what is coming down on the roadmap later on down the line, what our development team are currently working on, and plans for the future. Finally, we will give you a few different plugs, a few webinars, and a few bits and pieces that we'd like to talk about and let you know.
Fantastic. Yeah, so just to kick things off with a little question for the beginning of the session here. So as mentioned, trying to get into the Christmas spirit a little bit here. So we've got what is everyone's favorite Christmas tradition. So what is it you like to get up to most during the Christmas period, whether it's food, drink, etc.? I'm gonna let you guys tell us, and hopefully we'll see what comes out as the most popular traditions here. So already I can see we've got mulled wine, food, time with family. Yeah, obviously, most important part of the year for me. I don't know about you, Lewis. Obviously, just time with family. Time to relax and unwind a bit and refresh for the new year.
Food for me.
Food, yeah, I mean that's
definitely
got to be up there as well.
Family is a close second.
But yeah, I think they're pretty level pegged, aren't they? I do agree with you. Yeah, definitely coming out as the favourites there. Food, family, Christmas dinner. Yeah, games. Someone's got a turkey emoji in there. So yeah, obviously a strong food theme that we can see. What else we got? Grinch, Rudolph. Grinch mentioned a few times actually. That seems to be a popular Christmas movie of choice. But yeah, that's great. Fantastic, guys. Can see lots of awesome bits and pieces in there. And, regardless of what happens over the next few weeks, we really hope you have a really good Christmas period and hope that you will manage to unwind from the year. It's also, really good time for reflecting, I think, at the end of the year and kind of taking stock of moving into the following year to come. So yeah, really appreciate all your inputs on that, guys. I think let's close that off now. And as mentioned, we've got more of this type of interaction throughout the remainder of the session. Yeah,
it's a good word cloud.
It is indeed. Fantastic. So yeah, kicking things off for the core part of today's session in terms of the previous releases. So starting with our June update. So we've had 3 major releases this particular year. But we're just going to quickly cover the major items that we released as part of our June update, which feels like a lifetime ago now. I can't believe that summer was 6 months ago, but there we are. So one of the first major changes that we brought about as part of our June release was some UI changes that took place within the platform. So in particular, This was mainly around the question creation process. Excuse me. So those of you that are quite avid users of the platform, you probably would have naturally picked up on this yourself anyway. But effectively, as over time, we've added more functionality and we've developed the platform further, we've had to accommodate the user interface a little bit to account for those new features and functionality. So we've effectively revamped the question creation process. You've got much more choice now in terms of the content ability. And then we've just streamlined the actual process for creating your questions as well. And you can see a little GIF on screen there, just kind of illustrating some of those components. The next real significant change that arrived within our June release, and potentially one of the most sort of complemented updates, was our presentation content ability. So we've introduced the ability in Vevox to effectively upload and implement and present your own content. So whether that's text, images, or videos, you can essentially now present that to the audience through the native present view that is part of Vevox. So if any of you are familiar with our PowerPoint add-in, I've been describing this as kind of the reverse of what that does in a way, and you're actually able to put your own content into Vevox specifically, and then really nicely through the native present view, you can provide and present all of that directly back to your audience members. So just a continued example of this on screen here, so you can see the kind of visualizations that you can create. So you can, as mentioned, upload images, different bits of text, as well as video content as well. And then as per normal, you can then add and apply your standard Vevox questions, which can then run off the back of those contents that you may have shown your audience. So you can have questions or bits of information, and then you might choose to run specific questions running off the back of your presentation content. And then in addition to that, there are a few smaller tweaks that we've also applied to the present view as well. So we've added the ability for you to dynamically change and adjust the sizing of the present view on screen now. So specifically for the font sizes. So if you need to, you can dial up or dial down the actual sizing and the scaling of the font there to give you a bit more screen real estate if you want to, or maybe to focus in a bit more. We've also added the ability to apply a background filter to your joining instructions and your logo. So on the present view, you can see that on the GIF there on the right. If you've got a background that's particularly abstract and quite hard to see your joining instructions or logo against, you can then apply those backdrops to just clean that up a little bit and make it easier for your audience to see. And then finally, we just also made a real subtle change to the countdown, the response counter as well for your participants. So that's the element that appears in the top right of the screen. We've just kind of adjusted where that sits and just made it fit a little bit nicer in amongst the rest of the present view.
Few more bits and pieces for the June release is added support for correct answer explanations in the Excel import template. So for those of you that are aware, we have the template in Excel where you can put your questions in. We've now added the ability to add correct answer explanations on there as well. So to help out with your quizzing questions or any kind of question with the correct answer you're putting into the platform. Also, we had the account level question library. So Vevox account admins can go into their main area of their dashboard and add some collections in here. So the example you can see on screen, you can do different folders within this area. So end of year reflection, evaluation, that could be one topic and you can add to this. And once you've got some questions within these folders, these will be available to everyone within your account. All of the end users within that account will have access to what we put in here. If you don't know where that question library is, you go into one of your sessions and you can see on the left-hand side, you've got that Vevox sample content with lots and lots of different questions that we have pre-programmed in there. Do go and check those out for a bit of inspiration and some examples to how you can utilize those within these types of meetings. And also just below that is your account library. So anything that you put in the main bit as an admin will be accessible to all users there.
Fantastic. Yeah. So one of the final elements that we wanted to talk about as part of the June update was the enhancements that we've made to our LTI integration. So for those of you that don't know, Vevox integrates with a multitude of learning management systems. Now, this primarily is going to be more relatable to those of you that work in the education space, or if you work in a corporate environment that actually utilizes a learning management system. But effectively, you can integrate Vevox and your sessions directly into those learning environments. And one of the big changes that we made as part of this June release was providing the ability to now be able to access those linked LTI sessions outside of the LMS directly. So not only can you participate in those sessions through the gradebook, through the LMS itself, but actually you can join as you would do normally through your participant app. So you can join as a participant through your phone, through the joining instructions, or through any of those other integrations, effectively giving you the same functionality as if you weren't using the gradebook. So there's kind of no reason that you wouldn't potentially want to use that now if that was a barrier for you historically, which is really good. So next subtle change that we made in this arena was to do with the manual sync process. So again, with the LTI integration, Vevox has the ability to synchronize and send through scoring results from a Vevox quiz or activity into the gradebook of the learner management system directly. So that can be for attributing student grading and that sort of thing. But the way this has worked historically is that has always worked autonomously. So that synchronization has happened automatically in the background. Sometimes there can be some ramifications of that. However, if you have things like email notifications that come off the back of those changes, that can be sometimes a bit conflicting for certain people. So essentially what we've now given you is the ability to actually just synchronize those grades manually instead. So we can switch off the automatic sync. You have the ability to sync those results manually via a button that you can see on screen there inside the dashboard directly. And then you can specifically choose when and where you want those results to update into your gradebook. And then finally, we've also just slightly enhanced the actual scoring functionality for the gradebook itself as well. So by default, Vevox used to support the ability for correct answer scoring and participant scoring, but we've now added the ability to actually combine those elements together as well. So what you can do is via the sliding scale that you can see on screen, you can actually adjust the weighting for how those scores are calculated. So if you want more scoring attributed to correct answers versus participation, then you can simply adjust that slider to your choosing, and again really get that level of customization and specific balance that you're looking for there through that process.
And just before we move on to the November release, we had some updates to the PowerPoint integration. We've got added support now for team leaderboards, and we also support larger ranges for numerical questions, more than 100 range and decimal places in there supported as well. Okay, so the thing that everyone has been waiting for, we've got the what's new for November. Everything that's been in the platform for around about a month now.
Yeah.
And let's go ahead and get into this. First thing on here, and arguably a lot of our customers have said this is their favorite update from the most recent release. Had a lot of excitement about this one, is the spin the wheel non-polling content, which is available now in the platform. A really, really fun and engaging way to something to add to any of your meetings and your presentations and trainings. Really good examples that I've seen this being utilized quite recently is if you have a quiz, putting those prizes on this drawer for a bit of a random kind of generator. And we're going to use this as our example when we run through our quiz. A few other things that I've seen this being utilized for is if you have presenters or different topics at the start of one of your town halls or training sessions or anything similar, you can put those items on this spin the wheel and randomly select who's going to present next, what topic we're going to go to next. A really nice, fun way to get engagement within your sessions. Are there any good use cases in the education world, Fraser?
Yeah, I think much aligned to what you said yourself, Lewis. I think it's a very kind of appreciated and welcomed addition to the platform. It's a very fun little activity that you can run with your participants. I think the way I've primarily heard about it being used so far in the education space is potentially if the students have an activity, they're being asked to maybe present something a little bit like what you said, rather than having the pressure of having to choose students that you can effectively put those students into something like the spin the wheel, and then effectively give you your output in that scenario, and then you can have that random selection for who you might want to present their content, for example. But yeah, there are loads of use cases, loads of different ways that you could potentially use this. And as Lewis mentions, we've got a little scenario illustrating somewhat of this a little bit later on.
We do indeed. Looking forward to that. On to our next piece of feature release from November. We have had some updates to the AI polling functionality that we have in the platform already. So the AI question help expands its horizons. Not only, let me just play that video on there now. Not only can you create quizzing questions from the multiple choice generator, but you can now, if you put something in the question box there, you can generate the options for that question title. So AI will generate 4 different options for you, a correct answer and the correct answer explanation in there. So just a little bit of an update as to what you could do in there already. Also, you have the ability to utilize this with ranking style polls and also numeric polls as well. So there's 3 different polling types that the AI functionality supports now. Really useful for creating that questions quick on the fly. If you didn't have too much time to prep this stuff, AI is doing it all for you now, it's really cool, really impressive stuff.
Yeah, I think AI is really kind of taking everything by storm at the moment, hasn't it? So yeah, we're kind of doing our damnedest to add that ability in our own platform as well, and really kind of hear your views for the way you see the platform going as far as those developments go. And we'll talk a little bit more about that actually a bit later on as well. But one of the things I wanted to just talk about and mention here was the developments that we've made regarding our survey functionality. So for those of you that aren't aware, the surveys inside of Vevox are more designed for what I would describe as asynchronous use. So that really means that it's to be used outside of the actual live environment. So it could be an assessment or a quiz or a piece of feedback, a sentiment analysis type activity that your participants can complete sort of outside of the learning environment or the team meeting or workshop environment, and they can effectively run through that in their own time. Now, the developments that we've made in our November release is to really apply a lot of automation around that functionality. So what you now have the ability to do is actually specify start times as well as end times, and then actually how long you want that survey to be open and active for. So historically, that would have been very much a manual process. You would have had to have gone in and closed the survey when you're satisfied with the results, whereas now you can effectively leave it completely hands off. You can open the survey up. It will then do its thing and work through that process that you specified, and then it will close upon hitting that deadline. And that means effectively, if your participants don't get their results in that time, then their results simply don't count into the survey as well. So there is also that extra kind of incentive and requirement to make sure your participants actually kind of complete the assets that you set up for them. And the other thing I just want to mention here is we've also added a bit more information and ability for the scoring aspect. So actually what happens to the scoring after a survey has been completed. So again, historically, what used to happen is when a participant or a member of the survey had completed the quiz, they will be granted with feedback and scoring for how they performed. So they'll see how they scored out maybe 10, for example, and then they'll see how they actually performed on an individual question basis. But there are times where you might not actually want that. Sometimes you might want to just be able to collate all the data, see the performance of the participants, and then maybe you're going to kind of present the results back as a summary or speak to those individuals independently. So what we've done here is just given you a bit more control over how that operates. So you can now choose whether the score is showed automatically at the end of the quiz or the survey for those participants. Or maybe they just see a total score, but they can't go in and see the individual results. So ultimately, we're just giving you more control there and more flexibility for how you might choose to set that up.
We also have Pin on Image 2.0, so a second version of the Pin on Image polling type, which has been in the platform for quite a while now, I'd say over a year. So backed by popular demands, we've had a lot of feedback on what we've released quite recently in regards to this new updated question. And that's the ability to do multiple selections as a participant. I've done an example picture here on the right-hand side of the screen. So you can see this style of question might be potentially spot the hazards in the workplace. And you're going to have more than one hazard in a picture scenario like this, right? So before this update, you were only allowed to do one selection. Now you can do multiple. We've got 5 different selections within this question here. What you can also do is different shape styles. So you can do the squares, rectangles, circles. So we've added the ability to do different shapes. You can also rotate those if the correct answer is in an awkward position on that image. And you can also group these shapes and move them around together as one. So a few different updates that have come into the platform, definitely going to be beneficial for this style of question. I'm sure there's some good educational examples for this as well.
Absolutely. Yep. No, definitely another really nice update off the back of those changes. And yeah, I've already seen, as you referenced, Lewis, loads of examples in the education space. Particularly, I see this being used in anatomical examples. If you've got an image of a heart diagram or, a human skeleton, and you may be asking the participants to identify a certain area of that diagram, You've now got more choice and more flexibility to have multiple areas that, as you say, could in fact be the correct answer. So yeah, great to be able to apply this as well. So another small change that we've implemented, albeit really highly requested, is the ability for more customization over how the scoring works for the polling and the quizzing inside of Vevox. So historically, the way that the correct answers used to work is if you got a question correct as a participant inside of a Vevox session, you would be awarded a singular point, and that will calculate towards your overall score within the leaderboard. But we've now basically provided the ability to get a bit more sort of creative in how those points are aggregated. So actually what you can now do is specify the amount of points that are awarded per question. So, for example, if you have a particular question type that is maybe more complex, or there's a bit more sort of nuance to it, and you want to be a bit more sort of generous for the points that you award for that question as a result of it, you can now go in and specifically customize and attribute the amount of points that you want to add for that specific question type. And again, that will all factor in then to the total scoring and the leaderboards. So again, really a lot of theming here around just trying to give you more options, more customization, more flexibility, and ultimately being able to run your content the way that you want to run it effectively.
Here's a few more bits and pieces for the November release. We've got improved theming previews. So previously, if you wanted to update the participant app or your present view, you would have to put all of the themes in there, add the images, and then press save to see it. So it updates everything and it is live at that point. Now what you can do is you can go into your settings, you can go to the app customization and also the present view area, and you can see a preview of what you're about to do before it actually goes live. Just a nice little extra step there for a bit of safety, seeing things before they actually go live. Also, you have the connected devices on the present view. So just underneath the QR code, you can see now how many participants you have connected to your Vevox session. Beforehand, you would have to open a poll within Present View to see that vote count in the top right-hand corner. Now you can see how many people are connected just underneath that QR code. And you can toggle that off if you wanted to. So there's an option for that there. But it just means you have everything on one screen now, all on the present view, without needing that dashboard view open on another screen potentially. You can run it all from that one present view and have everything available for you.
Yeah, thanks, Lewis. I just wanted to talk a little bit here around some of the additional enhancements that have been made regarding the presentation content. So I mentioned earlier on in our June release, we brought about this new presentation content. So obviously, as I said, that's the ability for being able to upload your own images and graphics and that kind of thing, different bits of information. But I also specifically mentioned videos. So when we initially brought this out, you were able to upload your own YouTube videos. You can link them but dynamically into the presenter view. But now we've essentially opened that access up even further. So you can now also link and implement videos from the Panopto, Vimeo, and Kaltura platforms, which are all cloud-based video hosting, video sharing platforms. And as I say, you can effectively embed and link those videos directly into your present view. So, great scenarios for this could be if you want your audience to watch a particular piece of video content, because maybe you're then going to ask them some questions off the back of that. Well, rather than having to sort of dance around previously between setting things up in different tabs and presenting and whatnot, you can now do all of that really nicely, dynamically through Vevox itself. And then, as we said earlier, have all of your content baked in nicely to run off the back of that. Now, in addition to this, we've also just implemented a few smaller scale tweaks and enhancements here and there. So we've improved things like the user interface. There's lots of material and things on our help site that have undergone a whole revamp over the recent few months. And in general, we've just tried to really streamline areas of the platform, make it as efficient to use as possible. And one of the things that we really take core to our kind of value piece at Vevox is effectively ensuring we listen to you guys. So implementing feedback that you are specifically asking for and hearing and wanting to see in the platform. So do always, please feel free to keep sending those through to us. If you do have those suggestions and things, we will always make sure that our development team take those very seriously.
Definitely. And I think use the Q&A as well. If you've got any general comments that you want to put after seeing what you've seen today, put that in the Q&A and we can have a look at that at the end of today's session. So that's all of the November release. Hopefully you're just as excited as we are. There's loads of really cool stuff in there and it's all available to you in your platforms now. So go ahead and check that out. Now we have time for the Christmas quiz. So I'm going to put my Christmas hat on.
Getting in the zone, Lewis.
Let me put my Christmas hat on and we can go ahead and move over to the Vevox present view and we're going to run our quiz. Just before we do that, I want to put everyone into a team. So we have 3 different teams to choose from. I'm not putting you in teams. You have to put yourselves in a team. So what you need to do is click your favorite team on there. Would you like to be Team Santa, Team Snowman, or Team Elf? Let's get everyone voting on there. I'm going to go ahead and start the countdown timer and give everyone 10 seconds to get into a team. Right, let's see how everyone is split. Right, majority of people, Team Snowman. I said that would be the most popular one.
Called it.
Team Santa, not so much. Doesn't matter that the teams are not evenly split, because what Vevox is going to do is it's going to average out the team score at the end. So we will. Doesn't matter if you have less people in your team. That's absolutely fine. What we are going to do as well after we reveal the team score is we are going to reveal the individual score. So who did best out of the whole quiz? And we do have a prize for first place. So get your phones ready. Make sure you do participate. This is going to be a lot of fun. First question on here, hopefully a nice, easy one just to get people in the mood. In what country does Santa Claus go by the name Pierre Noel? Is it France, Germany, Japan, or Spain? You got 10 seconds. There you go. Everyone in the office is doing a little jingle right now. Here we go. The majority of people have gone for France. It is, in fact, France. There we go. And we have our correct explanation on the right-hand side. Nice and simple. Pierre Noel is the French name for Santa.
Brilliant. Thanks, Lewis. Yeah, on to our next question for the day. So this is an example of our pin on image question within Vevox. So in this case, we've got Elf who's gone missing in this Christmas tree. And can you, in fact, spot him? So let's get that timer started now and see if you guys can see it.
Make sure you press that send button as well. Okay, here we go. Let's reveal that correct answer then.
There we go. Yeah, so interesting. We've got quite a few people voting up the top now. I believe that is actually a different kind of ornament or character. I'm not quite sure who that is meant to be, but our actual elf is down here in the bottom right. There's 16 of you who have got correct there. Yeah, so well done. Great eyes if you did manage to get that. Not the easiest.
Question number 3. So another pin on image style question, slightly different to the previous one. We've got 4 images on screen. And which animal do you think is linked with Scandinavian Christmas traditions? You got 4 different choices. Put your pin on the image which you think is correct and make sure you press that send button. You've got 10 seconds.
I actually can't remember the answer to this one, Lewis, so I'm interested to see what the result is.
You got it. Right, let's see how everyone's voted. It really is a spread there, isn't it?
It is, isn't it?
Majority of people have gone for this bottom left picture of the goat. So let's reveal the correct answer. It is, in fact, the Yule goat. So this is a classic symbol of Yule and Christmas in Scandinavian countries like Sweden and Norway.
There we go. That's something new every day. Amazing. Yeah, thanks guys for your input so far. Hopefully this is a good little bit of fun. So yeah, next up we've got a bit of a musically themed question. So what is the best selling Christmas single of all time? When I first saw this question, I thought I could probably make an argument for all of them, to be honest. So maybe it's quite a challenging one, but we've got Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, All I Want for Christmas Is You by Mariah Carey, Last Christmas by Wham, or we have White Christmas by Bing Crosby. So we'll start the timer now and see if you guys get it. There we go. 33 of you voting so far. And wow, okay. Yeah, that's a really interesting result. Exact split between White Christmas and All I Want for Christmas Is You. Yeah, I think let's show the result for that one now, Lewis. So it is in fact White Christmas by Bing Crosby, and you can see that Bing Crosby's White Christmas had an estimated sales of over 50 million physical copies worldwide, and apparently is also officially the most ever sold single record according to the Guinness Book of Records as well. So yeah, really, really interesting. So I didn't know that. I don't know about you, Lewis, but there we have it.
I would have gone number 2.
I think I would have as well.
Right, our final question, and we've got Kyle in the corner who's going to pronounce this for me. Which country is famous for
the Bushito Noel?
Thank you, Kyle.
Nailed it.
Go ahead and put your response in there. It's open text, so you need to put the country that you think it is, and then go ahead and press that send button. Make sure you press that. You have 10 seconds to vote. Right, let's see how everyone's done. Okay, got a bit of a mix. Looks like France and Germany are the main respondents. We got Holland, Spain, Canada in there as well, Norway. It is, in fact, France. So well done to these people. Very good. And we got the fastest respondents in the top there as well. So well done if you got that correct. A little bit more of a tricky one there to finish off with. Is that all of our questions? It is, isn't it, Fraser? Yeah.
It is indeed.
Amazing. So that is the end of our Christmas quiz. Hopefully you enjoyed that. We are going to now reveal the team scoring. So let's see which team has come out on top. Team Snowman. Well done to Team Snowman. Only just beat Team Elf and Team Santa there in a close third as well. So well done if you're in Team Snowman. You have made it to the top. But let's have a look and see that individual person who has won a prize. Helen. Looks like Helen has come out on top there. So well done. Congratulations to yourself, Helen. We're going to contact you after today to send you your prize. Now, I bet you're wondering what prize you're actually going to be winning. And what we're going to do now is we're going to use the spin the wheel to determine what you are actually going to win now, Helen. So I'm going to fire that up. And we have a few different prizes on here. We've got some Vevox goodies, and we've also got an Amazon voucher. So let's go ahead and give this a spin and see what you're going to win.
Moment of truth.
A Vevox t-shirt. Well,
not a bad prize.
That's a good one. I mean, there's a few good ones on there. The pen and stuff like that would have been good as well. But the t-shirt, that's a nice prize. So congratulations on winning your prize there, Helen. We're going to email you, contact you after today, and get that all sorted out for you.
Fantastic. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed that, guys, and thank you for getting involved on those bits.
Should I keep the hat on or should I take it off?
I think it suits you, mate.
I'm getting a bit hot in here though, so
it is very.
I'll put it on a bit later.
You've done well, Lewis. You've done well. Amazing. Well, thanks a lot, guys. Again, appreciate that was a little bit of fun, but also a good opportunity to actually demonstrate, some of the quizzing functionality in Vevox. If you haven't actually seen those elements before, We've only run a few examples in that little exercise there, but you could take that even well and beyond what we've just achieved. But hope you all enjoyed that. So before we start kind of looking towards the end of the session, we just wanted to really now talk a little bit about actually what's on the horizon for our next kind of release cycle and going into next year. I'm sure plenty of you are curious as to the types of things we're currently working on. So a lot of these elements that are on the top of the screen here are pretty close to the end of development. So some of these things potentially and hopefully making their way into our Q1 release next year, but we will provide more specific updates on these things as we get closer to the time. But the first thing is a integration into Google Slides. So I'm sure plenty of you are probably already aware that we actually have a full plugin and integration into Microsoft PowerPoint. You saw a very small glimpse of that earlier in today's session where we ran the word cloud question at the start. That was run directly through PowerPoint. But of course, we are fully aware that, there are use cases and individuals and organizations and such that maybe aren't Microsoft based and then they happen to be Google based instead. So we want to make sure we're, being able to support as much of our audience and users as possible. So we are now very close to releasing a fully fledged integration for Google Slides, which we'll hopefully be bringing by the end of Q1 next year. We are also in the process of compiling and building and bringing about a matching-based question as well. So this is a brand new question type for Vevox, and we're all quite looking forward to the implementation of this. So effectively, this is going to be a case of having various components that you can list down the side of your screen, and then you'll be matching those elements up with the various areas and items that you've defined. So as I say, completely new poll type. It's been requested for quite a bit over the past year or so. I've certainly had lots of personal conversations about people wanting this type of activity. So again, really nice to be able to hopefully bring this into the not too distant future. Our third element on the list here is then our ad hoc polls. So what this essentially refers to is the ability to be able to launch and create polls directly inside the Vevox present view. So when you're using the present view to present, if you want to create a new poll on the fly, you do actually have to move into the dashboard itself to be able to do that. I mean, it's simple enough. It's quite a simplified process, but it does take you out of the present view, or you might have to open it up on another screen to be able to do that. Whereas what this will do is make sure that you can effectively do all of that directly inside the present view itself. So never having to leave the present view, being able to stay in there whilst presenting your content and your sessions, but then being able to open and create a new poll on the fly, I think will be a game changer. I think that will be a really welcome and appreciated addition when we are able to bring that to the platform. And then a couple of smaller scale updates here, but still as important nonetheless. So starting with our custom countdown timer sounds. So you've just seen the sounds in action a little moment ago with our festive jingle for the day. So there are various sound effects you can apply out the box right now, but effectively we're going to be giving you the direct customization to upload your own sound effects. So you'll be able to upload your own files and whatever capacity that looks like to effectively have your own sounds displaying and playing on those timers. And then speaking of timers, the last element here is somewhat related, but this is to do with the presentation content once again. So what we are hoping to bring about with this is just a really simple asset in the form of a clock and a display that you can actually put into your present view. So the use case scenario for this could be if you're with a group of students, or potentially you're in a team training session with your colleagues and fellow employees. Maybe you want to take a quick 10-minute break during whatever exercise it is you're going through. Well, what you'll be able to do with this is put a really simple and a nice clock display up in your present view that will simply count down, and then you can have everyone's kind of attention in on that so they know when to regather and focus back into the room. So yeah, quite a simple one, but again, quite a feature that I think will be useful in a few different ways and appreciated by various people. And I'm going to hand over to Lewis now, who's just going to talk a little bit about some of the things that are then on the horizon beyond that.
Yep, amazing. These are broader themes, so they're currently being investigated for the longer term. Not going to be in our next release, but looking at these things and developing them throughout next year. There's been a lot of talk about AI. Our customers are very much interested, and it's a hot topic, as we've mentioned. I'm sure you've heard many, many times before. So we are looking more into the AI functionality within polling, but also in the Q&A element of Vevox as well within that feature set. So we've had talks with customers, and we've been brainstorming internally about different ways of how we can utilize that and make people's lives easier when they are running a Q&A session. There's also the ability, we've been looking at the data analytics. So having a look at all of that data that you've got in from your polls and your Q&A, potentially sentiment within the Q&A, especially looking at duplicated questions and stuff like that. So lots of stuff, lots of ideas being thrown around, and really excited to see more of that to come within the next year.
Fantastic. Yeah, thank you for that roundup on those bits and pieces there, Lewis.
Right, so the Vevox Christmas quiz is now in the platform. So those 5 questions that we use within our quiz, they came directly from within the platform, which is accessible to all. But there are some questions in there, the pin on image style polls specifically, which you only have the ability to use if you are on a pro plan with us. And we want to give you the ability to test this and make this available to everyone for the foreseeable, for the 7 days. So if you wanted to trial a Vevox and trial that pro plan to have a look at that Christmas quiz and the other functionality that you can use within the platform on a pro plan, then do feel free to contact us, because we have an incentive at the moment for a 7-day free trial so you can test that out. If it's not yourself that needs to utilize this, if you have colleagues or anyone that's in your network at the moment that could benefit from utilizing Vevox and that free 7-day trial, feel free to contact us anyway, and we can get in touch with that person. We want to make sure that everyone has the ability and access to trial this out that we've got in the platform at the moment. So do let us know by giving us an email or a call.
Definitely. Absolutely. So yeah, just before we move on, folks, and start to get towards the end of today's session and then move over for some questions, there's a few other areas we just wanted to briefly sort of mention, sort of highlight to you if you're not already aware. So I will preface this by saying this is more of a specific thing related to our educators. So if you are part of a university or an institution, then this will be quite relevant to yourselves. But equally, if you're in a corporate role or on the sort of enterprise side of usage, and this is an area that you feel you might have relevance to, then equally please feel free to get involved as well. But the point that I want to make here is that we are currently running a campaign which we actually ran last year, and we're continuing into this year as well. And that's our Top Voices in Higher Education for 2026 initiative. So essentially, this is really an opportunity to recognize an individual, whether that's yourself or potentially colleagues, your line manager, wider colleagues, whoever that may be, that's done something particularly outstanding in their field, gone above and beyond, or done anything that's really essentially, recognizable beyond the kind of standard sort of work. And you want to be able to recognize those actions and that hard work, then this is a really great way to be able to do that through our Top Voices campaign. So effectively, you can go ahead and place a nomination for, as I say, any of those areas that apply. We're running this right up until the end of December. So the cutoff is the 19th of December. Now, if you would like to nominate someone, or as I say, yourself, as mentioned, there is actually a survey that is open in this particular Vevox session. I believe my colleague Kyle will be opening that up in the background as we speak, if not already. So fantastic. Thanks, Lewis. And you guys can now go ahead and have a look at that. And if you do want to nominate someone, or again, yourself, you can now go through those questions and go through that process. Now, if you just want a little bit more information about this first, then you're welcome to view this on our website. We have a dedicated page on our website referring to this. But also you can join our LinkedIn event for this as well, so you can keep up to date on the updates and all of the developments around this. And again, you have joining instructions on the slide there and on a few of the following slides to come if you do need to reconnect to the session. Fantastic. So yeah, just one final element from myself here. So one of the final things I just wanted to talk about was the various resources that we have here at Vevox. So, the fun doesn't stop today. We do have a whole host of webinars and different pieces on our YouTube channel, and help site, absolutely fantastic as well. It's really top tier in terms of all of the content and all of the information that is contained on there. So if you do at any point need any support with using something in Vevox yourself, do explore those areas. But equally, you're always welcome to contact us directly as well. Now, again, this is going to be probably more relevant to the education space, but we are actually in the middle of advertising and promoting our all access training sessions for January and February. So these consist of 2 training sessions. One is a getting started with Vevox webinar, which is an hour long, a real kind of introductory level, but explores the whole history of audience engagement technology, right the way back to sort of the old school click style pads and how we've kind of come to where we are now. And then we go through the whole Vevox platform. But we also run an advanced type of training session as well, which is more geared towards sort of pedagogical applications for using Vevox in education, teaching scenarios. And that's a 45-minute long session that you're welcome to sign up to as well. Now, if you haven't had invitations to these yourselves, then I'd recommend reaching out and contacting your learning technology team internally at your institution, or you can reach out to us directly as well, and we will guide you into the right place. The final thing to mention is we do also have a weekly session that we run as well. And this is for absolutely anybody to join. So whether you are on the education space or in the corporate environment, it's effectively a beginner's guide session that we run every week. I believe it's on a Tuesday afternoon, and you can sign up for that. And it's a real kind of high-level introductory look into Vevox, where you get to explore the basics and then understand effectively how to begin utilizing it for yourself from that little session. And then there's just a little example as to some of the content that is on our YouTube site there. So plenty of videos, plenty of playlists and webinars that you can watch back through. So again, another really great resource that you can explore if you are just looking for a little bit more information.
Aizen, thank you very much, Fraser. Let me get my hat back on for this Christmas message.
It's got to be done for the
there we go.
For the roundup.
From everyone here at Vevox, we wish all of our customers a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Hopefully, whatever you're doing is going to be a good one. Lots of food, lots of being merry, and we will see you in the new year. But just before we go, we've got that Q&A. So let's head over to the Q&A to see your questions and comments that you had throughout today. And please, please, please do fill in the surveys that are live on the platform now. There's a couple of surveys. Before you go, if you are jumping off now, be really, really helpful for myself and Fraser if you filled in that feedback survey on there. Because we're always looking to improve these sessions, make them as useful as possible to you. So yeah, we appreciate that. Thank you very much. Let's head over to the Q&A then. Doesn't look like there's too many bits and pieces on here. We got something from Kate here, but I believe we've had a reply from Kyle already. So there's the link to the June updates there, Kate, in case you wanted it. And for anyone else that's on the call as well, if you wanted to see those June updates again, you just click on that link in the reply to Kate and you will see that. Got a comment here at the top from Anonymous. It's been some really great updates recently. Keep them coming. Yeah, we will make sure development team get that information. And yeah, I'm sure you'll agree, Fraser. All of the updates that have come out recently have been awesome. Loving the spin the wheel, the AI stuff. And yeah, plenty more of that to come in the new year, I'm sure.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'd also say as well then, Lewis, obviously with the updates that are coming for next year as part of our ongoing 2026 roadmap and features that we want to add for next year, we will of course be accompanying that release eventually with another one of these webinars as well. So these usually follow suit in and after the updates, usually around a month or so behind. And then obviously we bring these to you as often as we can to demonstrate those bits of functionality and yeah, just try and make sure you guys are as up to speed as possible.
Awesome. I'll leave this up for anyone that needs the June release link, but we do have a question here. How many items can be placed on the spinning wheel? I don't actually know off the top of my head. I've done 10 on there before.
Yeah, we got some intel off camera here that Carl has just referenced that it's just over 100. So yeah, I actually didn't know the answer either. So pretty generous amount, and thank you, Carl, for the insight there. But yeah, if you want to test that to its lengths, and more power to you. Obviously, let us know how you get on. I've certainly not got anywhere near that number yet.
I'd be impressed if someone gets 100 items.
Yeah, might take a little while to get through those 100 options, but yeah, obviously that is the limit that we're currently sort of working to.
There we go. Nice one. Right, I will just remove this now. We got one more question that's just come in here. quite a lengthy one, eh? So let's have a look. Does it allow for early entering part of a right full answer? Example, if the entire correct answer is motor vehicle theft, I work in crime analytics, and the participant only puts motor vehicle, accidentally hitting send before finishing, then would they still get credit if no one answer starts like that? Believe that's referring to a quiz style question, right?
Yeah, I think my interpretation of that is I would assume that's akin to like an open text question. So if you were asking an open text question and that was your response, but you only put motor vehicle instead, then depending on how you set up the question, technically if you didn't get it exactly in that format, then it wouldn't be counted in that particular scenario. However, one thing you can do, it's something we often recommend, and you saw a little bit of it today actually in one of the questions, is you can put in multiple variations of a correct answer. So if you remember the question earlier, one of the answers was France. So we had in France as one of the correct answers, but we also had in La France as another option as well. So if you'd have put in either of those, pronunciation was probably horrible. So apologies if I've just offended anybody. But yes, you can try and cater for as many of the potential options that might come in. But yeah, you do sort of have to get within the parameters of what you specified for the system to obviously recognize that is the correct answer. But also, I think that's where I'd say that question type is also quite important as well. You know, you could have set this question up in an alternative way, made where you have it as a multiple choice. Your audience has to choose based on the elements that you've already defined yourself. That might be a better way to go in this scenario. So yeah, I think it really depends on what the actual sort of end goal is.
Beautiful one. Thanks for that, Fraser. Finally on here, is there a way to auto-populate the spinning wheel with names of all identified users connected to a session? So currently there isn't a way to do that. It is a manual process adding the items to the wheel, but that's not to say that this potentially could happen in the future. I mean, we're always looking for recommendations of our new features and releases coming in. And obviously the spin the wheel has only just come out. So if this is something that might be useful to you, Steve, yeah, can go into a bit more detail, maybe offline in a call and show what your use case might be, why that's going to be beneficial to you. And then we can always pass it on to our guys for more update considerations in the future.
Absolutely. Yep. No, I fully agree, Lewis.
Right, look, that looks like it's all of our questions done, Fraser. So again,
it does indeed.
Hopefully that was a useful session to everyone. You've learned a lot. Merry Christmas again for all of us here at the Vevox team, and we will see you next time in the new year potentially.
Yeah, thank you so much, everyone. Really appreciate you joining us today and getting involved with the content there. As Lewis says, wishing you all Merry Christmas, and hope to see you on the flip side next year. Take care, everyone.
Bye-bye.